and America are buying our tribal art, in which our fashion is deeply rooted. It would be nice for me to share something which happened, which will give you an idea of when he asked for the mirror writing, is that does it really convert to anything else other than an intellectual discourse at an NCPA hall? So I think a dialogue at an intellectual level is necessary. It's important that we have shared experiences, and that definitely converts into something. It doesn't remain a closed-door conversation. So an intelligent dialogue which can convert into an action. I can share something when we showed Shyam Benegal's film Susman, which was based on Ramlu weaver of Andhra, when there were humongous suicides being committed by weavers because they had no way how to sell their textiles to the actual user. So we invited Ramlu weaver along with his ikat loom and set him up actually in an elitist space like NCP at Nariman Point, and 1,000 people turned up to see the film Susman. And suddenly, by just the medium of that 3 hour of a film to explain what goes into actually weaving an ikat sari, the attention of those 1,000 people in the hall converted into them preserving their ikat saris next day and understanding that it is deserving of a better price. So how did it convert to commerce in a space like Melange? Again, very elitist, people feel scared, can we enter there? But they understood the significance of what goes into making that ikat sari, which is deserving of a better price. And also the weaver in a space like Mumbai understood that his worth is a lot more than what he's appreciated for. So that conversation not only resulted into commerce, into helping the people, the craftsmen to the actual user, but it also created an emotional response. And there were people crying in the audience. And next day, we almost had a dharna at NCPA for rescreening of the film, which we had to do. And there were 2,000 people. So 1,000 people sat outside. There were Shabana Azmi and Neena Gupta, who had played a role in the film. So the medium of fashion and the medium of films can reach out at a deeper level. So I'm completely convinced that it is not a wasted effort, because using these mediums, we are able to reach out to young people who will take forward this in an attractive manner. So this, it becomes an attractive medium. And yeah, so thank you for listening to me.
That's awesome. You spoke about having an emotional connect. And Gaurav, that's my question to you. We often think of organized retail as this non-emotional, completely hard, numbers-driven business space. So my question to you is this, right? On one side, and Trent is in a very interesting place because you have on one side FDI and retail through which even you guys are bringing in, say, clients like Zara. On the other hand, you have your homegrown retail brands like, you know, like Westside and so on. So once all these big guys come in, I mean, I think, you know, where is this rebalancing going to take place? What is going to be Indian about Westside anymore? Do you, you know, will you perhaps dip into our textile heritage, our culture, as Ritu said, of the living crafts, to maybe take these crafts more to the people and perhaps ensure your own survival as a brand? I mean, how are you going to morph? So if you could just touch upon that, and then, of course, you know, link it to questions of scale when you deal with the crafts.
Thank you, Pamesh. I'll just pick up from where you know, Sangeeta left. Normally, in the world of design, commerce is considered a bad word. And it's a sort of a thing which doesn't resonate with me. And, you know, to put things in context, when it comes to art, craft, tradition, historically, the patrons and therefore the preservers of art, craft, and tradition were the royalty. In the 21st century and beyond, the only patron for anything to survive is the consumer. And the consumer understands commerce. You know, in order to cater to a consumer and to engage a consumer and therefore survive yourself as a business, you have to catch the fancy of the consumer. You have to remain relevant. And therefore, it is very important that we all understand that art, craft, tradition has to morph without losing its identity, without diluting what it stands for. It has to find a space with the consumer. So that's the starting point. And I think the important thing there for people like us, coming back to your question, I just wanted to set this as a sort of a headline. And while we say that organized retail and anybody who's trying scale and trying to sort of trap this animal of big commerce is unemotional, actually it is the other way around. It is a tough beast to handle. And while it takes discipline and a lot of cold, calculated mechanics to make it operate, it cannot happen unless you throw passion behind it. So in organized retail, for example, coming back to our scenario where there is FDI and Trent as an organization is a partner with Zara. So we brought Zara into India. And at the same time, we have Westside, which is our homegrown business and something which perhaps you're a little more proud of, because it's something that we've grown and it has roots in India. The differentiator for Westside, and I think you've really hit the nail on the head, and for a lot of homegrown brands, not only in the Indian market, but I think also eventually in the international market, will be our ability to tap what is indigenous. It's not something new to us. We have today, for example, the Westside business, we have an ethnic wear component. And that is the single largest component of our business. It is almost about 30% of our entire business. That is something we brought Zara in, H&M will come in tomorrow, Topshop will come in day after. They'll never do it. Their ability to actually tap the indigenous market in terms of raw materials, in terms of techniques, in terms of artisans, is very limited because these are animals which are already scaling. They've got their base set. They manufacture from China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, wherever. And all they do when they come to India is to just add a few more numbers to their already large buy. Whereas for a lot of us, we are growing out of India. And we are actually starting. A lot of what differentiates us is the fact that we actually source, procure, design, create out of the Indian environment. To give you numbers, as I said, 30% of our business is the ethnic business. And that entire business, and a little more, actually procures textiles entirely from India. We buy almost like 15 million meters of textiles annually, 15 million meters. 15 million meters, and even if I take, the indigenous textiles, it comes down to almost a third, about 5 million meters of textiles indigenously. It allows us to support scores and scores of villages, whether it is in Mangalgiri, whether it is in Pulia, whether we're now going into Kutch. It allows us that opportunity. And what we do is, A, do our best to bring the craft. Now, we don't even claim to have the ability to do it, and we don't have the audience necessarily in terms of a customer to do it at the level where Rituji would do it. But we translate it to the taste and the relevance of our consumer. So we keep the craft alive, we keep the artisan alive, and we ensure that the cycle is virtuous. It is not something which is, charitable. It is something which is economically sustainable. So Mangalgiri, for example, we have several, I don't even know the count, we have several villages which work only to supply to Westside. We go back every year, we're doing things like water treatment plants, drinking water creches, we do all that kind of initiatives. Again, I guess the Tata heritage, we go back and do that. But I think a lot of other retailers are also realizing that that kind of giving back to these environments is very important. And what that's doing is, that's holding back the youth. These are guys who would run away to the cities. They would probably, as Rituji was saying, break stones, at a construction site, or probably, do odd jobs. These are people now who are happy to stay back. There are women of the village who are empowered, who are, engaging with the trade in a very positive and in a very energizing way. So commerce is important. To sum it up, commerce is important. Commerce allows you to create a sustainable cycle rather than just, promote it in a very small way. It allows you not only to do it in a sustainable way, but allows you to do it in a very large way, provided you have the approach. And yes, I completely agree with you that it is a tremendous opportunity for not only Indian retailers, I think even international retailers that come in, who have the flexibility, or anybody for that matter, who comes in and who has the flexibility. This is a treasure trove. I am generally, to be honest, at a personal level, a rather reticent public speaker. I don't necessarily go out in a lot of the retail forums. You don't find me there. I engage a lot with topics like these because I have a personal passion. I believe that there is a phenomenal opportunity waiting to explode. The richness of design, the richness of craft, and the opportunity that it presents if it is taken to that level of commerce. I think Zara is a great brand. I mean, it's our partner. It's a great brand. It's one of the leading brands in the world market today. But I think the next Zara will come out of India. It'll go not only all over the Indian markets, it'll go all over the world. and it'll be based very firmly on indigenous craft, indigenous textiles, and indigenous product. And I think that'll be what will be absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot of us are working towards it. Hopefully, we'll succeed. So that's our vision.
All of you have been just tremendously inspiring. And Mayank, I want to bring you in the conversation here. You've flown in from Delhi. You've been looking at textile innovations for the past 10 years now, or more than 10 years in our country. So I want to ask you about how you, unless if you want to come in, you want to come and sit and join us on the stage?
If everyone's okay with me.
Yeah.
Stand.
So I want to ask you you've been scouring the country for these innovations. I want you to tell us about some of those that you found, which can be inspiring to all of us in the room, and then specifically about the people that you've chosen. Like, who have you curated for your opening show today? Why did you choose them amongst all the others? But can you also contextualize them in the background of what you are saying?
The fact that we actually have, for the first time in the history of fashion weeks and fashion shows in India, a curated fashion show which brings attention to textile design, I think it's a huge step. I think it goes to show that India is ready to actually really, really take forward the kind of conversations that Sangeeta has been enabling to really larger audiences like these. I think the fact that there's an entire textile day today, there's a plethora of young designers working with Indian textiles, shows that there's an immense amount of interest. So instead of actually focusing on the innovation that's happening, I think I want to focus on some questions. So one question, of course, is when will an India Zara be? Will we ever have an Indian Muji? But I think the equally valid question is, can India ever emerge a brand like Louis Vuitton using the best examples of Indian craftsmanship? About the show today, there was a lot of option in terms of choosing between textile designers doing very contemporary, innovative work, and designers doing work with very traditional traditions. And finally, one focused down on 3 specific designers working very single-handedly on specific traditions for more than 5 to 6, in some cases 10 years. Some of their work is in international museums like the Victoria and Albert Museum. Some of them do exceptional limited edition textiles for brands like Jimmy Choo. So the whole idea is really to also say that the next step is not just for us to be happy with celebrating this rich heritage, but how do we emerge commitment and sustainability of business models using specific traditions? And I think that really is the future.
And maybe before we open it, if anyone in the audience would like to respond to the questions, anyone on the panel would like to respond to the questions Mayank has raised before we ask. Any of you? Great. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question to either of the panelists or to Mayank? Oh, great. Super. Raise your hands, and then we will bring the mic to you.